Yeah.
Those families never should have been shut off, and we wanted to make sure that in the final plan that did not happen again. I want to thank uh, Gary Brown, the Water Department Board, Dr. Abdul El Sayed, and all of the partners who worked on this, because we are now rolling out a new plan. We're 6 months away from the moratorium ended, so we're going to roll this out in plenty of time. But basically, the centerpiece of it is that if you make uh, such money that you're eligible for the federal SNAP program or the Michigan Food Assistance Program, you have food assistance, and that's 100,000 households in the city. Those 100,000 households will have a monthly water bill of $18 a month. That's our lifeline rate. We believe it's a rate that everyone can afford. It meets the national standard of no more than 1.8% of your monthly household income going to water service.
This is the People's Water Board Coalition Water Wednesday webcast for June 29th, 2022.
Welcome, 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 beloved community. We are back again, and today we have another installment of the People's Water Board Coalition's Water Wednesdays webcast. And today, me and my co-host, Valerie Jean Blakely, will be having a very special conversation about the recent developments to water issues within the city of Detroit and what went on at the water board meeting yesterday. Again, before we get started, I want to say a special thanks to our behind the scenes tech person, Lou Novak, our commenter, Rosalind Walker. And with that, we will jump right into it.
Thanks, Nicole. It's it's a really important conversation that we're about to have, because we've been fighting for water affordability here in the city of Detroit for a very long time.
Absolutely.
The first water affordability plan was implemented by the People's Water Board Michigan Welfare Rights in 2005. And the city council, not implemented, it was passed by the city council. So we've got a long history into this fight. So these developments that we found out really at the last minute, the People's Water Board wasn't even invited to the table to have this conversation with DWSD in the city of Detroit. But we found out last minute that they were going to have this, emergency meeting with the water board commissioners. And, lots of people showed up, even though a lot of people didn't know about it. A lot of people showed up. That was to comment and to really try to get a grasp of what it is, it's called the LifeLine plan for water affordability. So you want to touch on how many people were there?
I just wanted to touch and say that even without prior notice, the sneaky tactics that the city and DWSD used. Before I jump into how many people showed up to make public comment against this program, I just wanted to highlight that let's be very intentional here. The reason People's Water Board was not invited to the initial meeting to even talk about formulating this plan was because we have an active lawsuit against DWSD for discrimination to African American residents in the city of Detroit that occurred during the massive shutoff campaign. Mm-hmm. So this is not by design. I mean, it is by design, rather, to say that we were intentionally left out of that meeting.
Yeah, it's a good thing that we know people and we ended up there.
Exactly.
Anyway.
And they only gave a couple days notice about the meeting.
Yeah, they called it an emergency meeting.
And then decided to call an emergency meeting or phrase it that way. So even despite it being an emergency meeting, we there was about between virtual and in person, because of course both of us were there to make in-person comments. Yeah. I personally wanted to be there because I wanted them to literally see the look of disdain on my face as I commented about the community. But there was at least 40 plus people between both avenues of communication making comments, and literally everyone was pretty much against it. The plan, I want our viewers to understand that when they hear about this plan, they hear about the fact that they can pay $18 a month if they fall into a category of receiving SNAP or
Yeah,
food
it's a 3-tier plan, right?
It's a
And
3-tier plan.
we're calling it a ration plan. Literally on our statement, the People's
There's
Water
no
Board
calling
statement.
it. That's exactly
We're
what
calling
it
it a rations plan.
That's exactly what it is. And I really want to implore the importance that our viewers understand that this is a water rationing program, because what they're saying is, yes, you can pay $18 a month for your water bill.
If you fall in the income bracket.
If you fall into the income bracket and you utilize no more than the cap that they have for water usage for that bracket. If not, regardless if you fall into that income bracket, you immediately go into the next bracket of water payment, the next tier.
Because you're going to end up using more than what's allotted.
Yes, and just, I want people to understand that when they hear the numbers, they
The
sound large.
45,000.
They sound large, but when you think about water, using 4,500 gallons a month, that's very easy to do. Most of us use far more than that because we have to factor in sewerage, flushing our toilets, wastewater when we wash clothing or, dishes and take showers, everything that goes down the drain, not everything that comes out the spigot, but everything that comes out the spigot and everything that goes down the drain is included in that. And most families will far exceed it.
Yeah.
To give an
example, that's the thing is there's so many variables that haven't been thought of, and there's not systems in place to actually fix them when they come up, right? Especially when it comes to now the city of Philadelphia, let me make sure I'm saying this right. The city of Philadelphia figured we're lowballing that amount of water by like a third. It's at least way more. It's at least 3 times more than that.
Yeah, Philadelphia is saying at least 105 gallons per person.
Yes, per person a day, right?
Yeah.
So we figured that out right before we got on the phone. It's like 9,000 for a family of 3, right?
Yeah.
So and then they're not taking into consideration the fact that everybody's living with each other right now because there's no affordable housing in Detroit, and we just went through mass tax foreclosures the last few years. So you've got 3 families living in a household. They are automatically going to be paying the most for water because they're using more water, and then they're not putting into the fact that the people living in poverty, most people have plumbing issues and leakage issues and stuff. So that's going to put them to the second tier to where they're where they're paying way more money for water. So water affordability plan has to actually be that. It has to actually be an affordability plan. It can't be a rationing plan. There was a few good things in it, like the deleting people's debt. It was nice to hear for the first time ever. Which I'm sure it was, whatever, but it was for Gary Brown to be like, the people, can't, if they can't handle their past debt, they won't be able to pay their water bill. So it was important there is that. The reason that they're pushing, first of all, let's talk about what everybody was saying, right? There was no community engagement. We didn't have access to the plan ahead of time. And then they wanted to vote on it tomorrow or that day.
And they refused to show the plan to anyone.
They refused to show the plan to anyone. And then everybody said, just give us 45 days, literally 30 to 45 days, so that we can go through the plan and give you some community input and make it right the first time. Let's get it right the first time. All of the people,
anyone who's had
gentlemen, all of the people.
Yeah. Anyone who's ever dealt with the city will know pretty much once something gets put into place, there's no change in it.
Yeah, no, then you've got, and when you put something in place, you have to have systems put in place with it to address the problems with it. You have to.
Absolutely.
And there's no systems put in place to address the problems of the plan. Nothing. No, they haven't. And they voted on it like it was like they thought that they had those things, and they know they don't. Especially the issue, because they're saying people are going to have to apply through Wayne Metro, right?
Yeah,
Well, we don't
and
know
we know
what's going on with Wayne Metro.
We've been constantly saying this, like ever since the pandemic hit.
Oh,
They don't
wow.
have the capacity to even handle. They didn't have the. Let me go back. They didn't have the capacity to handle the influx of calls that came in normally.
Yeah.
When the pandemic hit and it dramatically increased, they definitely didn't have the capacity to take that. Plus, people were working from home, you know, instead of being in the office. So they definitely do not have the capacity to handle the influx of calls that are coming in, or the capacity of people coming in that are having water issues.
Mm-hmm.
Plus,
they should have hired folks from DWSD to actually manage this. They should. That's not having a system in place when you're adding this on top of an organization that is already bogged down and can't handle their the influx of calls and intake calls that they have. Not that Wayne Metro is terrible. I don't have anything bad to say about them, but it's not the workers' fault that they're bogged down.
It's not. It's just nobody expected the pandemic to hit the way it did, first of all.
Yeah.
You know, you can't predict what will occur during the pandemic. But because we now are aware that there are capacity needs with Wayne Metro, you can't dump a whole new influx of work into their lives.
How you getting people signed up for the system or for the plan, people? How you doing it?
And then
like
they're
they
saying that the first people that they're going to pull into this LifeLine program are residents who phased out of RAP.
Yeah. Yeah, they're automatic.
But that's only if they phase out of RAP. Only if they phase out of RAP in good standing.
Yeah.
If it wasn't in good standing, then they're probably not going to qualify for this program.
Well, they should, because they said that they would delete the debt. So that was the only decent part of this. The entire plan was the deletion of debt. And that people have really accumulated a lot of debt through the pandemic because we were in a moratorium. Yeah. So that part of it, I'm all for deleting debt.
Yeah, but
especially for poor and low income people.
About that, I'm even leery about that because I listened, and when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's awesome, you know. But then I started thinking, are the reason they're so eager to delete the debt is because they're going to put more charges onto the backs of ratepayers?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you don't know. There was a lot of mistrust in the room. You could tell it. It was palpable. It was like, oh yeah, everybody's like, look, this might look good on paper, but we don't trust you, and we certainly don't trust how you are rolling this out, and we certainly don't trust the fact that you ain't got systems in place to handle problems with the plan. Like you don't have those things.
Or even this, what happens to the people? Because I remember them saying in order to get the LIWAP funds, people they would probably have to.
It had to be in shut-off status.
In shut-off status, which means you would have to cut the moratorium. And what about the people that are going to fall through the cracks in shut-off status and actually get shut off?
Yeah,
because even if you have,
that's what the urgency was about, because there was money in that needed to be gotten.
$10 million.
That's what the urgency was about. Because there was money that that was going to be available.
They wanted to make sure that they got that money, regardless of whether they did what they need to do with it. They just want to make sure they collect.
Yeah.
And my thing is this. Even going through like programs like LIHEAP, which is what LIWAP was based off of, which is the low income energy assistance program, it's still as a client to go through that process is exactly what it is. It's a step-by-step process. You don't just go in and say, hey, my DTE bill is past due. I need LIHEAP help, and bam, your next day your bill is paid. So where's the safety net in place if someone goes through the LIWAP program to see if they can receive and get into this LifeLine program? Where is the safety net to ensure that they don't get their services disconnected while they're going through the process.
Yeah. Or where's
And
the
there
safety net
was
to
no
ensure that
mention of
they're not going up to the second tier and paying way more money for their water bill?
Exactly.
Where is that? You can't. I mean, where is that? Like, we need a water affordability plan here in Detroit, right? But we don't need no backdoor deal. Like, no, we need actual water affordability plan. And you can't tell people who are already stacked up in their house, a whole bunch of different families in one house, that they need to conserve and ration water.
Yeah.
That was their thing. They kept talking about
said,
conservation.
But just like some of the examples we heard, I remember yesterday there was a gentleman who said that it was just him and his wife in the house. They were retired. Yeah, they're retired. And they do everything they can to conserve water, which I would.
Yeah, he said, I don't even water my grass. I don't wash my car.
Yeah, he said he doesn't water his grass. He doesn't, wash his car. And it's like.
And they still use more than that with two people.
Right. And they use more than the lowest tier with two people. Now, imagine if you're a household where it's you and your spouse and maybe you have 2 children or 3 children. Then that increase is what mine looks like, right? Right. That increase is going to put you in to probably that highest tier, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was like $56 a month.
Yeah.
If you stayed within, the whole point of people not understanding is if you stay within a certain amount of water usage. So if you go over it, even if that
you go over that 4,500 gallons, and it doesn't matter how you go over it, your pipes, you can have problems in your house.
Yeah.
You're going to that second tier and you're going to pay a lot more for your water than you even are now.
And that's if you fall into the second tier. What if, I think about people like us. There's multiple people in your home that use water. There's multiple people in my home that use water.
Yeah, we got 2 families in my house.
Exactly. And I have one family, but it's a large family. It's
mm-hmm.
It's 6 people in my household.
Right. It's like,
and that's just counting
more.
And that's not counting laundry, cleaning,
right,
and things of that nature to use water. I mean, you have to use water to mop your floor, wash your counters, wash your dishes, wash your clothing and yourself, as well as drinking, using the bathroom and things like that.
That was another low ball estimate, Nicole. I thought that they were giving people estimating 1 gallon a day for people to drink. And in the summer, people are drinking more than a gallon a day. I'm all day. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm all day drinking. I hope so too. But they definitely are. Like that was a low ball for that, as far as I was concerned too. A gallon a day for people to drink.
I think that, so many things bothered me yesterday, but I think that's one of the things that really bothered me, because it's like, we already know you're doing water rationing with your estimates and your CCFs of how much water they should use. But to literally say, basically, you can't drink any more than a gallon of water a day.
Or that's what we've got you estimated as. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, that's insane.
I mean,
especially in summer months with 103 days.
How do you come up with an estimate? And I recall a medical professional telling me first that the 8 glasses of water a day is actually a myth. You should actually try to drink close to half your body weight in water in ounces. And I'm like, I'm not a small person.
No.
So.
No, and people, there's people that use water for their medical equipment and everything else. Water is life for a reason. We say water is life for a reason, right?
Because it is.
And I'm also all for conservation, but telling people telling people who are living in extreme poverty to conserve water and be very careful with and all like that, it's the one thing that they're supposed to really have access to as much as they need. You know
But
what I mean?
here's my thing. If you think about it, most of the people I know, which is pretty much everyone I know that's living in poverty, they already try to conserve water because they're already afraid they can't afford to pay their water bill. So they're
Right.
conserving water. It's like, like I've been teaching my children since they were little, like you don't run the water while you're brushing your teeth.
Right. I'm all for water conservation, but it just seems gross.
I mean, it's
to
gonna make
ask
Detroit
en
like
masse
a
to like
Detroit,
make sure if you want to be able to afford your water, you better cut yourself off, right?
Right.
Like,
So that means, which we already know because we've lived this, people are going to start cutting corners on other necessities in order to cover their water bill. So then we're going to have an electric utility crisis. The summer is winding. We're going to have when that winds down, we're going to have a gas utility crisis because people are going to be like, I can't pay this and keep up with my water.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, the People's Water Board did put out a statement, folks. Please go to our Facebook page and our Instagram and our Twitter and share that statement with folks so that people understand why we are not immediately jumping behind this plan. We want a water affordability plan. We want to jump behind a water affordability plan, but it has to be right. It has to be. It has to be right, and it has to be equitable. And it's certainly not a water rationing program that's going to happen.
Yes.
The other breaking news
has to have community input. Your voices, our viewers, your voices are important. You deserve to have some hearsay in what goes into a plan that will affect you, your neighbors, and our community.
That's right. That's right. And feel free to email or call the mayor and tell him that it needs to be more, there needs to be more community engagement. We want to see the plan. They should not have voted on it before the community got a chance to look at it. Do you remember in Baltimore?
Right.
And we'll go to Flint after this because I do want to get to Flint really quickly. But
yeah,
remember in Baltimore, it took 2 years or something because the community they were interacting with the community.
They were determined to be involved.
Right. They didn't just rush stuff through, even though the people of Baltimore needed affordable water. They didn't rush stuff through because they wanted it to be right. And they were meticulous about making sure that it was right. And it took time. That whole,
even though it was based on our plan, they really put in their due diligence to tailor it to fit the residents of Baltimore, serve the residents of Baltimore. And that's what I said during my public comment. They have to be responsible and accountable to the people that they serve. And that's the community. We're not worrying about you being accountable to GLEWA or the Board of Water.
That's your business.
The people,
do it.
The people, you owe us transparency and accountability for every resident in the city.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it felt like a dirty backroom deal that we were left out of.
It did. It's like I expected two guys with machine guns to be standing outside the door, and you have to give a code to get in because it's all sneaky backward.
I know.
Feelings. Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody pay attention to this. And if you want to get involved in pushing a real water affordability plan, hit us up. We'll put you to work. I wanted to quickly before we got before the end of the show, I wanted to kind of flag what was happening in Flint, that the Attorney General dropped the charges against Governor Snyder and everybody in Flint. And it seems like we don't know everything that's going on, but I do want to flag it for folks to go and look into it. And in the next couple of days, I feel like there's going to be like things coming out that are going to kind of talk about why that happened and what the situation was. But I did want to, and I'm hoping that we can get somebody from Flint to come on and respond to it next week. I'm hoping to have somebody maybe Claire McClinton or somebody, hopefully, to get on and talk about it and really respond to it and tell us the kind of details that we don't know, that we haven't heard. So we want to flag our viewers to go and check out what's happening with the Flint water crisis and the charges being dropped. And we're going to talk more about that next week for sure. And definitely check out our statement and please share it with folks. We definitely want a water affordability plan. We just got to make sure it's right. And we're going to need everybody to help us push for it. We're going to need all of the people, all of the city to come out and say, hey, this is great. We want a water affordability plan. Let's do it right the first time. So that's what we want to do.
I also just want to highlight that this plan that the city of Detroit and the water board has in place for this LifeLine plan that they're implementing without our input, it's set to be a pilot program. And they're slating to do it in 2,500 homes. And the thing is that I remember, and I don't want to misquote Gary Brown for sure, because he's so well at quoting us verbatim and using our language. He said, we're gonna figure out what low income communities to start with. So you're gonna not only ration water, ration water to people in poverty, but then you're going to pit communities against one another by choosing which communities to implement the program in first.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole thing is, like I said, it feels like a backroom deal. We've got to get it right the first time, and we're going to fight for it. And we're going to do it. Yes. Well, I'm sad that we didn't have our guest Savina Martin on today, and hopefully we'll have her on again to talk about her community. But it was really nice to kind of be able to, after so much breaking news, Michigan water breaking news yesterday.
Yes, absolutely.
It was nice that we were able to just kind of talk it through with folks and kind of point folks in the right direction. I think it was really, really important to do that today. So I'm glad we got to. And we got tough days ahead, my friend. Tough days, all of us. So look out for each other, check on your neighbors, and take care of each other. Until next time, try to stay afloat. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.